Hello, Darren.
Hi, Darren. Why do I always laugh? I always have an involuntary little chuckle when I say that. I just always, do I need to fill a gap in? I just thought, I said hi, Darren. I don't know why I do it.
I just smashed my finger.
That is the second injury you've had on Brentwood Tuxedo.
What was the first?
There was a little sort of like.
Oh yeah, that's still there. That's still there. My bite and the spider, the mama spider got in there, and then all the baby spiders came out here.
You're such a trooper, though, aren't you? You just keep going.
I mean, it's not as if it is my hands. I was going to say it's not as if something I use.
Well, I've heard you guitar playing.
Yeah, I had a rehearsal with my band last night.
Full band?
Not a full band. Well, as you know, the thing that will always drive you nuts about any band ever is getting them in one place.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
And it has at times made me think, why do I bother? And certainly it does, with certain trips. And it certainly led to me at one point learning how I could do it on my own, how I can record everything on my own.
Yeah.
And how I'm able to do shows on my own. But this band has been together since about, we're August now. So I think about February, March, we started getting all the members together. Me and Giles, the bass player. And the idea is to make the idea is to make a record in the way, or to have a band in the way you had a band when you first had your band, when you very first had your band. So what I mean by that is over the years, I've come to sort of want a very particular style of drumming. There's certain things, especially to do my older songs, that I'm looking for. And I hardly ever have two guitars. Normally the way my bands are structured is me playing guitar and normally a fourth member on something a little exotic, be it a violin or a pedal steel in the two most famous in the two main cases. So I wanted to make a record with two guitars, drums and bass, but I also wanted it to be a band that sounded like whatever it sounded like. The way the first bands are. And so Will, who plays drums for me, particularly when he starts to play the drums, I play him an idea. He very, very often plays something which I hadn't considered at all. And if I'm really honest, and I don't think Will would even mind me saying this in public, I'm sometimes not too sure. I'm like, oh, dearie me. Well, hold on. Yeah. He's very much a thoughtful drummer who has, ideas for parts and accents, and he's not a boom drummer. Yeah, which is normally what I go for. So that's the idea, really. I mean, it's still sort of me writing the songs, but the idea is that everyone has a lot more influence on it, even if they don't realize. Actually, even if they don't realize how much influence they're having on it, which is probably the case with the new guys. They probably don't necessarily realize that in the previous I would have guided it much more. And then also what that's hopefully resulting in is me writing with that band in mind. Yeah. So as I get to learn Jolie, because Jolie is the other guitarist, as I get to learn how she plays, which is really interesting. She's got a really it's very hard to describe her playing. It's very sort of sort of lazy and spidery,
right?
And she's not a pretty guitarist, which I think she was trying to let me know at the beginning. And she quite likes to upset things. And I think at times my songwriting is a little too eager to please, a little too pretty. And she certainly doesn't mind. I think so sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
And she certainly doesn't mind, sort of throwing in some dissonance and things like that. So
that sounds good. She likes a bit of noise.
Yeah, we were definitely talking about, I would say it's noise as much as dissonance, but she does have a distortion pedal. And we certainly, when I first met her, we were talking about US indie bands that we both liked. So that's a sort of a touchstone for me and her. So we were talking about, Pavements, Sebado.
Yeah.
So she's sort of from that sort of camp of guitar.
Is she quite an aggressive player in terms of attacking the instrument?
No, that's why I mean she's a little bit of a conundrum in that way, and that's why it's hard to describe. In fact, one problem we have, which once again she won't mind me hearing me say out loud because we definitely say in rehearsal, is she doesn't play loud enough. We're often having to encourage her to turn up. I think she sees herself as quite a supporting role, but when you do turn her up, then you hear all this kind of oddness there. Yeah. So me and Giles are constantly saying, turn up, Jolie. And also turn up because she wasn't there last night. Anyway, music is the theme for my drawing today.
And mine as well.
I'm drawing a Moog Rogue synthesizer. And my art tutors back at Maidstone College of Art in Kent would be very pleased to learn that I am not drawing from a photo today. Today I am drawing from real life. Here we have.
Look at that.
Yeah. I've plugged it in for you as well.
So give us a fanfare. Fanfare to announce it.
You pull out. Sorry.
My iPad's giving a fanfare because my friend keeps messaging me. Stop ringing bells.
This is the first synthesizer I brought. I brought it off my friend Joel, who lives in Nashville now. He had two of them, and I brought it, I think, somewhere between Fidelity Wars and We Love the City. I don't think it's on Fidelity Wars, but between the second and third. And it is still, let's put a bit of modulation on it. And it is still, it is my favourite. It's almost like this and the Wurlitzer piano. Every single song sounds better when you put it on. So you've got to try and not put it on every single song.
Yeah, because then, So this reminds me, is that the synthesizer that you can hear on the music at the start of our videos?
Christ, I only did it 2 weeks ago and I'm trying to remember.
I think
it is. Yes, it is. It is. Yes, it is. It is. Yes, it is. It is. It is. Yes. Yeah, it is. It's just got this tone to it. Which is a Moog, really. It's an instrument in itself. Has the you can also put things through it, actually. So you can do the
excellent.
You can do the what do you call it? The Who's Next kind of. Yeah, so you can put a guitar through that and have it do all that sort of Pete Townshend stuff.
Yeah. I think Brian May does that on Radio Gaga.
Right.
For the Queen fans out there.
You can also do this really exciting thing where you take the signal out and take one to the amp, but put it through like a splitter and then feed its own signal back into it. And then it goes mental.
I bet it does. So I'm drawing people who play that synthesizer.
Yes.
But not you. I should have drawn you, shouldn't I? Thought that would be a bit too weird.
I'm trying to think if I could name any, actually. I know that, like, on most Wikipedia entries for most synths, they have a nice little list of who's played it.
It does have a list.
It's definitely in... It's definitely in Stop Making Sense. I think Tina Weymouth plays one at one point.
She's top of that list. She's not in this painting, actually.
Because I'm very pleased that I own all the synthesizers that are in Stop Making Sense. Because the other synthesizer they play a lot in Stop Making Sense is the Prophet 5.
Right. Are we going to? I think I'm going to have to mention the brand name, Darren, and its pronunciation. I can't.
Well,
not. If it was any other synth, if it was a mini Moog or anything, it's fine. But point of calling it the Rogue is because it rhymes with the actual pronunciation, doesn't it?
That's true. But then they also made the Moog Rogues, the pedal range.
Moog Rogues.
But spelled F-R-O-O-G.
Yeah, but if it rhymes with mug, it's a little naughty play on a naughty word, isn't it?
Hold on, I don't think I know what this word is. What's going on now? I don't think I understand where the conversation's gone.
You goddamn mugger frogger.
Is that what the pun is?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Well.
But here's the thing. I generally call it a Moog. I don't call them Moogs.
Exactly.
It just feels wrong.
I know that Bob Moog pronounced his name Moog. I know that is the proper way. But they just are called Moogs, aren't they? They just are.
Yeah.
They, that is just, that's what everyone's always called them. And if you say, could we plug in the Moog?
Yeah. It's what you're going to get.
You're just one of them, aren't you?
You get, you do, it's the rest of the band like, ooh, Moog, ooh.
Yeah, I just don't want to be a Moog guy. I want to be a Moog guy.
But in this case, with this synth, that is kind of the joke.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's called the Moog Rogue because it rhymes.
This painting I'm doing is turning out to be incredibly quick, as usual.
Yeah, there's a lot of switches on here to draw.
There are. So it did it appears on Hefner albums then, I assume.
Yeah, it's on We Love the City a fair bit.
Yeah.
And then between We Love the City, I got quite into synthesizers and brought quite a few. And so the last Hefner album has a lot of different synthesizers on. and tanked my career and resulted in a court case which lasted for about 2 years, and I nearly lost my house. So, I mean, synthesizers have always played an important part in my life.
Hey, how many rock and roll stories are there where musicians nearly lose their house because of the gear? And my wife kicked me out. It was me or the guitars. Oh, so.
Oddly, mentioning Townshend, perhaps the reason why he sprung to mind is I am currently, I was going to say reading, but I'm listening to Pete Townshend's audiobook.
Yeah.
Do you know what the title of Pete Townshend's autobiography is?
Is it Who Are You?
It's Who I Am.
Who I Am. There we go. Of course it is. Is it good?
It's really good.
He's very interesting.
He's very interesting. He's very pompous and has quite a high opinion of himself. Right. And yet he also knows he's ridiculous.
Right, and okay, yeah.
Quite often when he's talking about his younger self and his highfalutin ideas, he is quite often like laughing. He quite often bursts out laughing at a stupid pronouncement. And yet he still clings to them. You know, he'll still, waffle on about what quadrophenia is about and how no one understands quadrophenia, even though it still doesn't make any sense when he's explaining it. Well, actually, Lifehouse is the one where
that's right. Yeah,
he really gets frustrated by people's inability to see his genius on it. But yeah, I would say I'm not a big Who fan. I would say I am a Who fan. I definitely like them more from reading this book and like him more.
Yeah, I think they are a band that the more you understand what Pete was trying to do, it becomes a little bit more interesting to listen to.
I didn't actually realise how few records they'd made, actually. I was expecting, like, I don't know, I just didn't really know the discography, and I thought there would be loads of records that I didn't know in the early 60s, as they were sort of finding themselves. But actually, it's The Who Sings My Generation, then it's a quick one, then it's Who Sell Out, and then it's Tommy. They don't waste much time before they become this kind of sprawling rock opera band with heavy concept.
And see, I've got to admit, I kind of, that's where they lose me a little bit. Well, it's interesting that they lose me at the exact point where Pete feels he's finding himself and doing what he should be doing. It's kind of the point where I'm like, oh, can you not just, I like you really noisy, like, I can see for miles. I can see for miles for 20 years, please.
Well, yes, I Can See for Miles is the Who's best song. I think that's an incredible song, and lots of their songs aren't. Lots of their really good singles aren't on any of the albums. They had even more so than the Beatles.
Yeah,
they had a real policy of the singles not being on the albums. So I think actually the Who, in Alan Partridge style, genuinely are a band where the best Who album is the best of the Who. Because that run of singles early on is really great.
Yeah.
I would say my favourite proper album is Who's Next, though. Because of all that business.
So, can I can I do my Pete Townshend humble brag?
Yeah.
Pete Townshend owns one of my drawings.
Yes, and both of us know Pete's daughter, don't we?
Yeah. Thanks to the wonderful world of Twitter.
Yeah. She's fantastic. One of my very, very favourite people on Twitter. She was also when I met my girlfriend, the only person we both knew on Twitter.
Right. Yeah.
So she's going to be head bridesmaid.
Oh, very nice.
But back to the painting.
We should add that she's so nice that she's not someone who goes around shouting from the rooftops, "Look who my dad is." She's very proud of what he does.
I didn't
know either at first. No, which I was kind of pleased about. That I kind of was following her before I knew that, and she's a person in her own rights.
Well, also I was talking to her in Green Park once. We were having a picnic, and she was talking about she didn't know what to get her dad for Father's Day. And we were just talking about it, but it was only halfway through the conversation where I thought, oh, yes, I can see how he would be hard to buy for.
Him. Yeah. But she, I think she saw a drawing I did of Sister Rosetta Tharpe, the rhythm and blues singer and guitar player with Heavy Dose of Gospel. And her dad was a big fan of hers. So she asked if she could buy it off me. I got extremely excited. Still managed to maintain my professionalism and named a price, very reasonable price. I wasn't going to treat her any differently.
Well, isn't that
strange?
Isn't that the strange thing as well? I mean, of course, it wouldn't be. One part of your brain might have said, "Oh, Pete Townshend, bet he can pay a bit for a painting." But of course, the truth is, you would happily give him a painting, wouldn't you?
Hey, absolutely, yeah. Please take it, yeah. But it got lost. So months later, she told me. I got the impression she'd been didn't know how to tell me, and she asked if I could do another one. At which point, you know what it's like trying to recreate your own paintings.
Just recently done it. Actually. I've just in the past few weeks. So there was a painting I sold, and someone said, "I know you've sold it, but could you do it again?"
Right? Yeah.
Well, not really. What I can do is I can paint the same thing again.
Yeah.
But I think what I would like to do, and what would be better for you, is if I treat this as a painting that never existed before.
Yeah.
But there's no. It could be worse or it could be better.
It's quite a difficult thing to do,
especially because in my case recently, that the other person liked the painting for certain qualities. So as much as I said what I just said, it's still hard not to forget some of the good things about the first painting.
It is, yeah, it's difficult. Fortunately, I had a photograph of the one I'd drawn, the actual drawing, and I was like, can I copy this? Is it going to be an interesting exercise to sit down and try to copy what I've done, especially when I remember drawing it and I was keeping it really, really loose and free. So it's not like I was working religiously from a photograph or anything.
But also, the second time you're thinking, Pete Townshend's going to look at this.
Yeah. This is again. Yeah, the second time I knew who it was for, and amazingly, I nailed it first time. which was I really wasn't expecting. And he got that one. Well, I assume he got it. I like to think it's in his downstairs toilet.
I'm trying to think if anyone famous owns one of my paintings. The comedian Mark Watson.
Yeah? No, Mark Watson.
He has a painting of Arsenal football stadium, the old one, in fact.
Highbury.
Yeah, because now it's moved to Emirates, isn't it?
Yes, I think it has, yeah. Yeah, it has. You've got one of my paintings. Do you count? If Mark Watson counts, you count.
Mark Watson's much more famous than me. He's on TV. He's got...
You've been on TV.
Have I been on TV? Yeah, I've been on TV. Not much, though. The last time I was on TV was particularly good because it was... I started being asked to be on things because of the Thankful Villages project, which I've mentioned several times here. Because around the time of the centenary of the end of the First World War, it was a story that, well, I mean, there's also, I should say that this was completely by design. Yeah. When I started the project 4 years before, I knew that anniversary was coming up, and I was completely cynically made sure that it all came out. And I got asked to do things like that, and I was on this program on ITV. So I would actually get starting to be asked on things, not so much talking about music, but just talking about the story of Thankful Villages.
Yeah.
So when I was on ITV at 8:00, and it just said Darren Hayman, and underneath my name it just said musician and historian.
How did you feel about that?
I felt okay about that. Yeah. Yeah, but I never had much. I've never done late, or I'm not that sort of musician. Never done any of that stuff.
Did you never go on later?
No.
Oh, I thought you might have done.
Well, I coined this little phrase that we were Britain's largest small band.
Right, yeah.
And when I was asked to sort of define what, in what way are you Britain's largest small band? And I felt that if you got on later, then that would turn you into Britain's smallest large band.
Right.
that was the cut-off point as to whether you'd ever done later or not. Like you're all of a sudden, somehow a little bit more proper if you've done later.
Yeah.
Now, here's the difficulty. I've painted the synthesizer before. I like painting it, but keep quiet.
Hey, have you finished it?
Well, no, not quite. The problem is it has these sort of white. I mean, it's hard to paint an object that's essentially black, you know.
Black, yep.
So I'm actually going to do a little bit of mixed media and find some white acrylic.
Yeah,
because it's got some controls on it.
Do you want to know who I've painted then?
Well, shall I? Is it too dangerous a game to see if I can guess? Okay, let me have a look here.
See, I know who they are. Can I just say the one at the top right? He's not Dot Cotton.
The one down on the bottom right.
Yes,
I think is Steve Strange.
No. Right era, wrong guy.
Is he? He can't be Flock of Seagulls guy, can he? He's a blonde.
No. You're skirting around it. You can have one more guess.
Who else had that kind of flick like that at the front?
A little clue, he has absolutely no hair now at all.
Really doesn't narrow it down, does it?
No.
Is it Nick Kershaw?
No, it's not. It's Vince Clarke.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Vince.
In the middle there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get that one. It's my favourite one.
Is it the guy from Grandaddy?
It's not. I know it looks like it could be from a band like that. It's not. You will never get it. Never.
Go on and tell me who it is.
It's Mr. Oizo.
What?
He did Flat Eric. Do you remember Flat Eric?
Yeah.
You remember Flat Eric, don't you?
Yeah, I do remember Flat Eric.
Yeah, that's the guy. And he looks like, is it Joe Tomkinson, something like that, off 8 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown?
Oh, yeah.
He looks like that. So there's the bottom left. If I tell you who it is, you'll go, oh yeah.
Is it Vangelis?
It's not. Again, you're more the correct sort of era for this one as well then, if you're thinking about Vangelis. And kind of genre adjacent, I would say.
Is it Jean-Michel Jarre?
It's not. Wrong country. He's I'm going to tell you the rest of it. It's Mike Rutherford.
One of your Italian guys?
No, it's Mike Rutherford. Then we have, so the one up here who looks like Dot Cotton, and I'm allowed to say that because I painted it. He's a guy who was in a band I mentioned to you in another video. It's Julian Koster from Neutral Milk Hotel.
Ah, I did not know that Neutral Milk Hotel were fans of the Moog Rogue.
Apparently so. And the other person, the lady up here, is Nancy Whang, who plays with LCD Sound System.
Oh, I've seen her.
Right. So
I've seen her play. I tell you what, though.
Yeah.
None of that's plugged in.
Is it all tapes?
I saw this sound system, and they're all playing about the modular. Yeah, that isn't making any difference.
I know. Listen to me. Is it all tapes?
Is it all taped?
Did I ever tell you about the time I had to mime live on stage? In fact, I didn't actually mime myself. This was with the Drifters, or the guy who sang with the Drifters. And
did he use Moog?
Sorry?
Did he ever Moog?
He didn't. No, he had a Ferrari. And a trophy wife. I don't know if I can say that. I've said it. So we were doing a New Year's Eve gig down in London, of all places. Enfield again. Second time I mentioned Enfield to you. The Starlight Rooms, Enfield Football Club, and me and the guitarist we met up with the drummer in Bolton, and he had the van. And he was driving us all down, and we got there New Year's Eve. And we said to him, so who's playing keyboards tonight then? And he says, well, I was hoping you could tell me. This is New Year's Eve morning. What do you mean? What do you mean? So, well, I can't find anyone. Can't find a keyboard player. It's like, and you tell us now? When we're ready to leave? Yeah. So we phoned around all our music friends. And of course, it's New Year's Eve. They're already gigging, they're already booked, so they're going to a party. So we eventually found one colleague, at music college, one of our colleagues there who could do it. So we had to go and pick him up, and then we had to drive all the way over to Sheffield to pick a saxophone player up and some backing singers, and then down to London. And as we set in the gear up for sound check, the keyboard player is looking slightly confused at his synth and that. And so, are you okay? So I said, I don't really know how to work it. I only got it for Christmas, and this is the first time I've plugged it in. So he spent half an hour working out how to get his sounds. And then we put the music in front of him. We were all reading sheet music. Put it in front of him, and it became really obvious that he couldn't read music. Like, he couldn't sight read it. But we're like, what do you mean you can't sight read it? We've done lots of like rehearsals with you in college for like projects and that. So, oh yeah, but I always used to take the music home and learn it. So, but you've got to be able to sight read it. You're playing the gig like in 2 hours. And the singer, the Rifters guy, started seeing this, and he's like getting really worried. So eventually, what he did, he often goes like solo with mini discs, backing tracks. So he gave the mini discs backing tracks to the sound guy, who was sitting up in a lighting booth up on a raised platform. And the idea was that the drums, the bass and the guitar would play live along with the backing tracks, but we'd have all the synths and that in these tracks. So we're doing that, feeling really it was New Year's Eve. People had paid like over £100 a ticket for this this event, and it was all really weird. And there was one point where the singer announces the next song. It was Tom Jones' song. He was doing It's Not Unusual, because he did a lot of just like popular cheesy cabaret songs and that. So he announces It's Not Unusual, and there's complete silence. And we think, what's going on? So he announces it again, because he was saying like it goes like this and nothing like this. And we realised the sound man couldn't find the track on the mini discs. So I look over at the drummer and the guitarist, and I just shout, just start it. As well, it's not unusual. It's not, although there's going to be no brass, you can get away with it. Maybe, we'll just play it. Drums, bass, guitar, like Cream.
Clearly, clearly that was the solution to the whole problem from the very start, wasn't it?
Yes.
The whole problem was, the solution to this problem was, let's do the songs that don't need keyboard as much.
Yeah. So we start playing it, and then halfway through our intro, the sound man finds it and presses play. And this other backing track just jumps in from nowhere. Obviously, there's no syncing up or anything. So it's at a different speed and it's in a different key. After the gig, the singer was fuming, absolutely fuming. And the only two people who got paid in full were me and the guitar player, because we did nothing wrong. We turned up, we did what we were asked to do. But the drummer didn't get paid because he should have booked a keyboard player and didn't. The keyboard player didn't get paid because he was rubbish. And maybe some of the backing singers got paid, but one of them, he even docked a backing singer like 50 quid because they had red laces in their shoes. He was livid by this point, absolutely livid.
Well, anyway, my picture's finished.
Mine's finished as well. Good timing. I'm glad I got that tail in. But one of the worst gigs I've ever done was one of the best gigs to remember. It's good.
Should we say goodbye?
Yes. Goodbye, Darren.
Goodbye, Darren.